Shaun, we can start talking about one person who we love to watch. The real question is the fact that we want to see him for a little bit longer.
And that is?
Samson. I thought it was
obvious. He's doing this a lot today. He's sort of assuming that we know where he's headed.
He's throwing us curveballs, isn't he, Harsha? He's throwing us a massive curveball.
I thought that was so obvious, Shaun, that I didn't even need to mention it.
Well, I was starting to rack my brain about who you were thinking about. It's been a while since you got to remember how he went in that tournament at the start of it. But I mean, he is class, and that one innings at the start of this RPL was fantastic, and they definitely need more from him, particularly missing some of their big players that haven't managed to return. He is in many ways the senior statesman there, and needs to make those contributions count. It's one thing getting in. But that's the nature of the beast, You used to think T20 cricket, you just come in and whack it around. But there's a big art to it these days, getting yourself in, getting off to a fast start, and then being able to shift through the gears a little bit. I know they're not first, second, and third, more like fourth, fifth, and sixth gear that you just shift between in the T20 innings. But the art of being able to stick around and be there, almost eliminate the risks. From his perspective, I think sometimes, he's the guy who takes on the 80% risk, whereas if he can just restrict it to saying, I'll take on a 50% risk shot rather than the 80% one, he's got a chance of coming off. And I think that's hopefully something that he's learned. And I think that the break actually came at a good time for him, because it would give him an opportunity to reassess and now come back and try and get things right.
Yeah, I felt for him because he got picked in Sri Lanka while the rest of the team was in England. And he got those kind of wickets to play on, really slow, low. He would have liked to see a wicket where the ball was coming on and prove to people why he should be number 4 in this Indian side. But he got those slowish wickets that didn't quite work for Sanju Samson. And he can't now turn around and say, put me in that Indian team, though he's expressed disappointment, which is pretty normal. But he can't say, put me back into that Indian team, because he's had his opportunities. But the one thing he did, Polly, and that's what those numbers were showing, is that as the tournament went along, he got back to scoring runs. Otherwise, you see Sanju Samson, he starts the tournament with a flourish and you say, wow, this is a player I want to watch. And then and then suddenly there's no Sanju Samson scoring runs. So this tournament, I think he said something at the start of installment 1 of this tournament, where he said, I've decided to give myself a few balls. And that's made a huge difference in some of the innings that he's played. He played one very slow innings. There's 102. That's against Kolkata, because that was a small run chase. They just had to ensure that they were going across the line. Otherwise, once he gets in, look at the strike rates he gets. So even if he gives himself 7-8 balls, he's still going to score at 140, 150 anyway.
But when you talk about matchups against certain teams, that century happens to come against the same opposition he's playing today. So maybe that'll be in the back of his mind and say, can we have one more of those, Shaun?
Yeah, it's just funny how it works. As a player, you just feel comfortable sometimes against certain opposition, and you've got some good memories. You see the guys running into bowl, and you just have a bit more self-belief. And it can be just one individual. There can be one specific individual in the opposition who keeps knocking you over and gives you bad vibes about playing the whole team. But there's nothing wrong with those facts and figures when it comes to playing against Punjab. So he'll be pretty excited, and it's the start of the tournament, or the second half of the tournament, so he always starts well.